Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. It's the European playoffs for DAC. Bears versus Cloud9. The other side, we're going to have Liquid versus Secret. Fun matchups today. The thing I'm really looking forward to the most is someone putting a stop to Bears. Someone's got to get in front of these guys because this new squad seemed unstoppable, and their group, we'll see if Cloud9 has what it takes to get it done. Gods, what are your thoughts? I look at Bears, and I think they're actually, despite being the new team, I think they're the favorite here.
I think so. They haven't versed Liquid yet. That could be a tough opponent. They haven't versed Cloud9, of course. Yeah, we have ourselves. But they breezed their way through Group A, and that was meant to be the quote-unquote hard group. They were the coming in as like the mystery team who had to go up against Na'Vi, go up against Secret, and they didn't seem to have too many problems. They didn't have to meet Secret, actually. So, funnily enough, they haven't versed any of the teams in the playoffs yet.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll see Bears really put to the test. And Cloud9, maybe this is how you pick a bear yourself to beat a bear. You pick up the first pick, Lone Druid, leave out Bears, who are going to go for an Earth Spirit, and waiting on that +1. The bans are a little interesting. I noticed Cloud9, they banned away first up the Vengeful Spirit, and I was like, as I was starting the cast, I was like, that's kind of different.
Yeah, I think almost most of the Bears games so far we have seen them run Venge. I think Adam played it at least 2 of their 4 games, and I think they ran it on Fata one game when they had the Firo SF. That was their opening game, so it has been a recurring pick, but again, it's like 4 games, it's Venge, and it's not like Venge is one of those heroes where you think, oh, you got to ban it. Similar to why you often see the first pick Slaughters, it's not like a hero you think, oh, you want to ban it. Typically, it's the Embers, the Lone Druids, these more playmaky type heroes, the quote-unquote OP heroes that are getting banned out, but Cloud9 do take the approach where it's like, let's just ban those annoying stable heroes that get picked every game. So no Venge, no Slaughter.
And an Ogre. So they may ban away some of those early heroes, but Bears still get a playmaker in Earth Spirit, and for some reason picking up the Centaur here, maybe that's their idea of being able to beat the Lone Druid instead of grabbing. They could have just grabbed Ogre Sniper, right? We would have seen other teams, if they were facing a first pick Lone Druid, we would have seen other teams go Ogre Sniper to try and deal with it. Instead, they pick up 2 very good gap closers for the whole entire team.
I like that Bears just seem to have their own ideas of how to play Dota, and they're going to stick to it. They're not just going to follow the trends that everyone else is doing, and I think that's sometimes a downside to a lot of teams who are just like kind of copy pasting whatever the meta is a bit. Bears seem to completely just want to do their own style of Dota, and I think this is 2 picks that suit them very well. Yapsa's Earth Spirit has been absolutely incredible watching this guy play. The 4 position role is one of the most aggressive 4 position players out there, so look to him to really disrupt Cloud9 and set up a lot of the early game Bears rotations.
Yeah, it does. I think that part of that is why you get so many honeymoon phases with newer teams, is because you get these new ideas coming to the table, and everyone has fresh ideas about Dota, and they implement them, and it's entirely new to the scene, and you're not just getting into that grind of playing Dota all the time, and people start figuring out what you like to pick. Here, Bears definitely have quite the element of surprise with only a few games under their belt. We're going to go into the second bans here. Enigma and Quap going to be taken away. Another gap closer there, banned away by C9.
Yep. We've seen the 5-man Hester Joe Enigma complement the C9 team a few times. And that's something Bears have to take away from the Cloud9 series yesterday. Bears, with this Lone Druid, will look to take those towers at an incredibly fast rate. 10 minutes in the game, 5 towers down. That was the rate they set yesterday. And that's something Bears are targeting with their bans for now. The Chen, the Enigma, those 5-man push-oriented utility support / offlaners, the mech buyers, they want to take them out of the picture.
So the thing for me, though, is that even if they ban away these pushers, Cloud9 can still keep up that kind of pace with just the Lone Druid and some early game heroes. For me, it's like I'm wondering what Bears have to do against this. And part of it is, I guess, are you going to pick up the early game heroes that actually contest the first couple of pushes where you actually are quite strong at 8 minutes in? Or are you going to dodge these pushes, maybe get a split pusher of your own, and just let them take towers and trade as best as possible?
Yeah, definitely either approach can work. So we'll see what Bears have in mind. I feel like they haven't been up against a team like Cloud9, so it's kind of like I can't even say based on what we've seen which approach they're going to take. If anything, there was that opening series where they played from behind a lot, and they were quite happy to run a more kind of farming style. That was the Shadow Fiend game where they just played around Fiora, played very defensively. So it would make
Hmm.
me think they're more inclined to just play the efficiency farming game, go for the split push rather than fight directly into Cloud9. But so far, the picks suggest a bit more kind of early game, a bit more aggression, but that's always going to be the case when you don't see the mid or the carry yet. So those calls will kind of dictate what Bears' idea to fighting the 5-man push is going to be.
And we will see the dazzle here for Bears, but it's not going to be the same kind of strat that we saw from what was it, yesterday. We had the Lone Druid and Sniper with the dazzle and the offensive weave. So these heroes could just sit in the back and pew 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 because the Sniper got banned away by C9, and I'm sure Bears were expecting that to get taken out of their hands. So they must have, again, different plans in mind. Who knows? Maybe we'll see the Lifestealer as a potential gap closer. Since they couldn't get their hands on the Slardar, they could still run a Centaur Lifestealer combination. What are some of the other heroes that we've talked about that are decent? Maybe Alchemist was talked about as potential counterpick.
I like the idea of the Alchemist mid. The other hero, I think, perhaps maybe a bit more just well-rounded is the Shadow Fiend, something they've played before and is pretty stable. Can fight early if you want to, especially around those high-impact rune, like you get an early Haster and Invis as SF. You can suddenly make those rotations, but they don't get too much more info about Cloud9. Just the casual Crystal Maiden comes up, something that Rise plays a lot of, and something that can be pretty good against the Stampede. You try and Stampede away, you get Frostbitten. I was about to say, I was just thinking, like, man, it's nice to have a game without Weaver or Slaughter, and then Bears go ahead and pick it.
All right, so that'll lock down one of our Bears cores. So most likely our safe laner here with the Centaur already taking over the off lane, and our 2 supports picked up. Weaver feels pretty good, right? Very mobile hero, stays out of range of the Savage Roar, lots of physical damage. It does seem like a fairly good matchup against the Lone Druid.
Yeah, seems very like a stable pick. It doesn't seem like a big explosive type hero that's going to be like a game changer. Like I feel like as it stands, it doesn't solve the problem of how do you stop the 5-man push all too well. It split pushes okay, so I feel like Bears are going to need a bit more oomph out of their mid lane.
It does kind of come back to maybe your SF that you're talking about. SF would give you that early laning phase power where if they go for these pushes, you'd at least have the nuking power. Not too many other heroes would be able to grant you that. And oh god, here goes a even more push. All right, Bears, I don't know if you stand in front of this anymore. Underlord is here for Cloud9. I think that's the first time they picked Underlord. Was it them and Alliance, the 2 teams who like banned Underlord a crap ton of times, but had never picked it?
Yeah, I was seeing the Dark Sea, the Enigma ban. I was like, if they were a 5-man push with a mech buyer, Underlord is the obvious pick left because Tide's kind of out of the meta. But I was also like thinking, nah, I'm not going to say that. They're not going to pick Underlord. It's Hester Joe and Cloud9 just don't really play this hero, but sure enough, they decided to pull it out. The other day when they played the Enigma 2 games in a row, he was tweeting that he'd never played Enigma before. So he obviously has the ability to just pick up heroes on a whim, it seems. And it looks like that may be the case with this Underlord for Cloud9.
We'll ban away the Ember Spirit by Bears. That's a Baby Knight hero, though I feel like there's enough Baby Knight heroes left in the pool, especially if they do want to try and start this snowball early. There's still, for example, the Viper out there, those kind of heroes, like lane dominators that turn into fast pushing and kind of sustain heroes. There's plenty of those still out there for C9, so I feel like the C9 ban is going to be a lot more impactful in this draft. I'm not sure how many heroes are left that can deal with this kind of lineup from C9. There's SF. There's I don't think OD
you
does
mentioned
it.
if you still think you can Alchemist, or I don't know if that's too greedy. Oh, Tinker, there we go.
Okay, that would have done it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. SF, the Alchemist approach potentially works. Cloud9 have to reveal their mid first, so they go into the OD, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like there's too many like problem heroes for the OD diverse left in the pool right now. I don't imagine he's going to get a really tough lane or anything.
I do like that pickup from C9. better than some of the more early game focused mids, because we already know they're going to be 5-manning with the lone druid, and at least now they have some scaling power, because I think with Ogre, Crystal Maiden, and Underlord, you've ensured the early game against bears, and I don't think you need to pad those stats any further. I think it's nice that they have still a lane dominator, but one that is going to be able to scale better for you.
Yeah, I'm on board with the OD as well, and see what bears respond with. Definitely, to me, in my mind, like AoE, wave clear, like deep push is like a necessity for this last pick. At least the ability to clear waves, because right now they have 0 like wave clear whatsoever. The only real like push out they have is like the Weaver Swarm, which more delays it, doesn't clear the wave. Or spirit spells don't really clear the wave all that well. You want to be saving them for the actual fight themselves. So, not sure. Tinker would have been great for that. Shadow Fiend's like maybe the next best option. Otherwise, yeah, you're looking at like Alchemist type heroes and just playing for the super late game. Naga Siren is like a potential risky pick you could throw in, but I don't think a Naga can come online fast enough.
Dwindling down to our reserve time, it's going to be the Invoker, which does not give us a whole lot of early game power. Means more likely, I guess, bears are going to be playing a skirmish. I mean, that's what I look at this. I look at this. This is like a lot of ganking potential and like 1-on-1, 2-on-2 kind of power, but they're not going to be able to beat C9 in a 5-man team fight in those early pushes.
Yeah. Are you thinking the Exort Invoker for that scrappier style where you're just trying to farm up, or do you think you need the Quas Wex for the more early game potential?
I mean, I kind of like the Exort here, because if we do get the Earth Spirit or the Centaur Initiation onto someone, I look at many of these heroes, OD, Underlord, Lone Druid, those 3 cores, you really want to burst those down during the stun time. Otherwise, they have ways to respawn, right? Underlord is just big and tanky. He's got that Pit of Malice. OD has his save mechanism with the Imprison, and Lone Druid has Savage Roar. So I kind of do like the Exort style just because of Sunstrike and the kill potential that grants some of these other gankers.
Yeah. I as much as like Quas Wex could delay the push and offer you a bit more early game potential against a line that's going to be trying to fight and take early towers, it seems like, yeah, they want to less try and fight into the 5-man and more just try and find pickoffs, get kills in the laning stage. He's already got the Sunstrike level 1, throwing that out for some early scouting, so at bare minimum, he's going to probably see like an Alacrity potentially in the Quas Wex, but I think more likely we do see the Exort.
Both teams going to smoke up and TP out, try and get those early wards down. And it's pretty much the norm for Dota right now. It doesn't look like either wards are going to be scouted here. This ward blocking out the easy camp, trying to make the lane a bit better for Rev. And probably a deep mid lane ward. Yeah, so we're going to place another one. So both teams have similar ideas here, trying to get an observer ward that gives their offlaner a better chance in lane, because both these offlaners, well, I guess Centaur more than Underlord, but they really do want to make their laning phase work. They don't want to fall back to jungle.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, Hesjo, Pullman Shield, and Forev ready to contest lane. Forev's been very impressive in his offlane so far. He's been very disruptive. One of the offlanes who's like not just going to the jungle, he's putting as much pressure on the lane as possible constantly, and we'll see if he can continue that here. I feel like he needs to be disruptive to this Lone Druid, but easier said than done. And a lot of that will probably depend on what Yapsol can do as well, roaming around on the Earth Spirit.
Yeah, that game's going to have to come nice and early if... oh, no. I forgot my mic. Do you have open mic?
Yeah, I do. I thought I was going to remind you, and then I got distracted because Discord wasn't working, and then, yeah.
Guts and I have to remind each other every because we both, play Dota after we're done, so we always turn off our open mic. So every morning we've been reminding each other about it.
Yep, I always forget to turn it off when I go into my first pub game. Then my whole team starts yelling at me like during the picking stage, like what's going on with the mic and stuff. But
yeah.
This looks like the pseudo early game solution to Ace on the Lone Druid. It's gonna be Yapso doing these little side pulls. I like this approach. It's gonna shore up the Centaur, getting some levels and farm, and C9 supports are looking to play a bit greedier. Oh well, Noya's gonna be helping mid, but CM it looks like will just be straight up jungling, getting the fast level 2.
Bureau already attempting to throw out Sunstrikes just to get CS, because this lane is so hard for him. He's gonna be ignited and imprisoned, or actually early bloodlust for Baby Knight. But
unfortunately, no range creep for Yapsaw means he didn't get the initial side pull off, but he found another side pull to go for.
That'll be nice. Not quite as good as the other pull. Ace will still be able to grab some experience and probably pick up some CS, but it does at least pull the lane back for Forev either way.
Yeah, Yapso's kind of poking around here. I think this is where Ace is like, okay, if there's 2 heroes down here, he's actually not going to be able to farm or really stay in this lane all too well. Hasn't skilled anything at level 2, and yeah, there we go. I was thinking he probably needs to go Savage Raw level 2 just in case he gets rolled on. And is probably letting his team know like he's going to need some help and rotations down there fairly soon if Earth Spirit lingers around. This is a pretty good kill combination between the Centaur and the Earth Spirit.
I feel like the kill combination, though, isn't really going to happen until you're level 3, and then it's a very small window. Because I think you need the roll-in, and you need to be able to hit the silence as you roll in. Otherwise, you get roared, and you don't get the disables necessary for a Centaur to be able to close that gap.
Yeah, it looks like Yapso is just trying to roll in, harass more than anything. So not really going for the kills, just going for the casual chip on the Ace, trying to get him to chew through his regen. But as long as Ace can hold his own and continue to farm, he's probably just going to happily take the 1v1. Forever is trying to get up in his face with the early point in the return. But the Lone Druid himself seems to be matching up pretty decently against this.
Hester Joe, meanwhile, as the offlaner against a Dazzle, and Weaver's doing pretty well for himself. He's burned through some of his regen. You could see Bears are trying to put as much pressure on him as possible, but honestly, Underlord's just a tough hero to crack with that Atrophy aura and the PMS.
Gets going on, he throws some fire, turns around, gets Dazzled down to half HP. That is life as an Underlord. So right now, it looks like Cloud9's laning stage coming out very positive. The Firo Invoker only has 4 CS against the OD Ogre. Somewhat expected result. Maybe you'd think perhaps a couple more CS here or there for Firo, but it's the Exiled Invoker. You can't really come near the lane, and anytime it's on the other side of the river, you just can't contest this CS because of the Ogre. And it seems Yapso has just dedicated his time down to the bottom lane, deciding he can't really do enough to help mid lane to justify his presence.
Oh, the Sunstrike's coming in. Maybe it's the first kill on top of Ace, but there goes the Savage Roar. That's the problem.
Okay.
The stun just doesn't last long enough, even with Forev managing to actually get close enough to hit a stomp in the first place. Ace survives through all of that, and Rise just remains unconcerned about the bottom lane. He just continues to jungle and get that extra efficiency.
It's level 4 already. This is a full-on jungle Crystal Maiden, and Ace surviving that while he's still at the salve means a lot of wasted time. Yapso's presence in this bottom lane, and even the Invoker's game, getting like a Sunstrike kill there would have really salvaged things for Firo. Unfortunately, he just could not quite do it.
Yeah, Firo's having a rough time.
Yeah,
only 4-1 in the CS.
Throwing out his CS. Yep. It's not fun for him.
No. Hester Joe going to be gone on once again here. They will couple up here to be able to get a nice double heal bomb onto Hester Joe. Adam doing some good blocking, trying to set this up for a potential dive. They feel like it's good enough. They'll dive the tower into Hester Joe. The last shot is not going to be enough. My God. I thought for sure Underlord was dead, but the tanky beast survives through all of that, and they have a shrine to be able to use as well.
Good. Yeah, he saved the stick charges until Fata was fully committed at the last second, and luckily for Fata, Rise had no mana. He'd been using it all through jungle. If he had Frostbite, he was on like 80 mana. That's a dead Weaver, so very close to turning it around for C9. Not quite able to do so. Fata and Firo are going to shrine up together, and looks like they're going to farm some Ancients.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. He's caught in the trees, tries to kick Noya out of this dead end, but Noya returns right back to block Yapsor in against the bear. It'll be Ace picking up the first blood.
Yeah. At this point, all 3 lanes going very well. 2 lanes being won by C9. The off lane, realistically, is going almost, more or less being won in some ways by Hester Joe, even though he's not out farming the Weaver by any means. He's survived against it. He's gotten level 5. And then the CM is jungling. So this is like the best possible early game you could hope for if you're C9.
Bears. They've dealt with bad laning phases before, right? We mentioned that game where they had SF and they were able to play around Firo the whole entire game, just play super conservatively. But C9 are not going to give you the same kind of opportunities, not with this lineup. They have so much pushing power that I don't think the game's going to last long for Bears to be able to turtle up and sit behind, the Firo Invoker and let him farm away. So Bears need to be able to come up with a game plan as we start exiting the laning phase and we start seeing more movement around the map. But for now, everyone's playing a bit of a farm game for Bears.
Yeah, C9 haven't upped the pressure yet to start really going for the towers, partly because Ace didn't have that empty lane where he farmed away and could punish by going for an early tier 1, but even so, though, that tower push could theoretically come fairly soon. Another level for Neuer will get him level 3 Bloodlust, and any kill around bottom lane. Ryze is looking for one, could lead to this tier 1 going down.
Comes in with his invis. Gonna spot Forev here. Forev's pretty far back, but he is gonna start the go. There goes the Centaur ultimate, immediately followed up by the Frostbite. Good combination, but unfortunately a stun comes in from Yapzor, and that clips the Ogre, preventing the combo stun.
Yep, couldn't get the Baron for the entangle, and Forev will survive. Very tanky hero to go on. Has the 1100 HP, even has the casual cloak now. So killing him, not exactly easy, but you put Stampede on cooldown, and does mean C9 can potentially try and go for a kind of subsequent fight where they look for a tower perhaps, or like a kill into a tower. Hessajo's forced back to base after jungling a bit. He's level 7. He may even rotate down to join this push of C9.
Instant ensnare on Forev, get some chip damage on him. And that'll make the push, if it does come from C9, a bit easier. Meanwhile, Bears did kind of posture themselves near mid lane, but without the Stampede, they didn't really have the gap closer necessary to punish Baby Knight when he offensively Astraled imprisoned. And that's another problem here for Bears, is that we have not just a sort of free farming lone druid, thanks to the First Blood, but also a free farming OD who's sitting at 54 and 26.
Yikes. And that's where I think C9, we saw a bit yesterday, were just trying to 5-man, like maybe overly do it, where they just ended up a bit under-leveled. They also just got to this point where they'd taken all the other towers, but they hadn't got the farm and items to really break the high ground yet. So it feels like they're happy to go at a slower pace, focus more on getting all their items first. They're not going to force any kind of play just yet. And I kind of like this a bit better, where they know and recognize they're winning their lanes. They don't have to take towers when they're out farming their opponents in almost all 3 lanes. So they'll just put Ryze back in the jungle. He's level 6 already, and everything is going pretty peachy for the C9 team.
Yeah, certainly is. Firo and Fada trying to make the best of jungling when they can, since this is going to be their best time. The pressure is going to amp up eventually. C9's 2 supports have now rotated bottom. Dazzle's here to just try and push out the lane, see if he can get his level 6, which would really help to stop pushes, but it looks like he's going to be caught in the process. They did have a laning ward. They saw Adam head into those trees. He tries to get a Stampede save from the Centaur, not going to be good enough. That Stampede does also allow Fodder to go on Hesta Joe, but a TP out. Oh, the Shikuchi at the end, barely in front of the TP, does manage to give him the killing blow.
Yeah, nice kill up top. That really helps out Fata. Perhaps opens it up for him to take the tier 1 at top as a trade. He's throwing the swarm out, so he wants to find that tier 1 for tier 1 trade. Knowing that C9 are pressuring bottom, he's going to pressure top.
Forev and Adam, don't think you can do much to stop this bear from right-clicking on the tower. Noya's making sure of it too. Gets a stun in. Oh god, I didn't even think about this one, but you can use Dark Rift on the bear too. That's kind of nasty, especially since if you think about it, right? The 5-manning that we've seen from Cloud9, the way they rapidly take objectives, it seems like Underlord would fit perfectly into their lineup, the way they like to play, because then you're not even punished for 5-manning as much thanks to Dark Rift.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams who have just sort of with Alliance, they just split push and bought time by pressuring other sides of the map. But yeah, Underlord sat so well, and we'll see how the outcome works from here. Maybe a more recurring pick for them if they decide it's a good approach to the game. Radiant Scan sees the smoked up. Well, it doesn't see them smoked up, but sees heroes in that area, and it looks like Ace is well aware that this bottom lane is not a safe place to be. Probably gonna let his team know that. Well, he is walking through the jungle still. He's making sure he doesn't get caught around here.
Mid lane warn being placed by Adam. TP's back to the tier 2 because he knows time is of the essence. He needs to be in position right now. The kickback there from Yapzor, but here comes the Stampede. A 4-staff away. Baby Knight gets some distance. Stampede, a hit. Hoof Stomp only hits the bear there, and Noya is out of range. Fada, oh, he's going to be sent to the astral plane underneath this this pit of malice. And it looks like Bears are not going to be able to find a kill out of that. And they really did need it. They needed some sort of pick off there to be able to stop the push because C9 are probably just going to keep going.
Yeah, just having that early 4-staff got Baby Knight out of danger. The Stampede couldn't land on him. And without that Stampede hitting, it's really hard for Invoker to hit the Sunstrike and the Meatball combo. He's gone full Wex Exort. And
roll in.
Now going to still try and engage.
Noya's been hit, slowed down. The Hoof Stomp will land this time around with the Sunstrike and the extra nuke damage. For Ev, they will find that pick off. That being said, Ace was not there. Ace, he maybe because he expected all of Bears to be defending, he was trying to actually just play some jungle time. But as a result, a 4 versus 4 in the mid lane does allow Bears a pick off.
Yeah, not the biggest kill to get, but it's still good defense because it looked like C9 were going to still try and force that tower even without the lone druid. So defending the tower and punishing the fact that Ace wasn't there, getting the kill, and buying yourself some more time, getting Forev closer and closer to his Blink Dagger.
Holy cow.
Farm Bears score right now.
Yeah, he is super farmed. He's got a Hood of Defiance and 1,500 gold. This is very good timing, and it probably means he'll have the Blink Dagger before the next mid lane push, and maybe not before Ace takes the top tower. We'll see how Bears respond to this double pressure that they're receiving. Baby Knight on one end, Ace on the other.
Yeah, the mid tower is still fairly healthy, so top is probably the lane to just give up at this point and try and initiate on mid if possible. You see the bear up top. There's a potential opening for you to go in, but for now, Forev is just creep skipping down bottom. He's doing what he can to be annoying and get farm towards his Blink. And yeah, Ace will get the tower. SJ will defend bottom, but this is a potential opening. Bears know that Cloud9 are currently very split up around the map.
Mech is coming in pretty fast. I think that's when C9 finally do push down that mid lane. But that will also come in around the time that Forev has his Blink Dagger. So it looks like we're probably going to see a clash in the mid lane between the sustain of C9 and their 5-man pushing power and the initiation opportunity that will finally be available for Forev. Because honestly, run again and stampeding just isn't good enough. Not against that that lone druid, especially when he has the bear in front. The Savage Roar can just turn the haste against you.
We'll see how Baby Knight can do. He's, to me, is the big player as far as stopping that initiation. If anyone other than him gets initiated, there's a potential Astral Imprisonment save because they're trying to burst down whoever they go on. Ideally, they want to go on Baby Knight himself, and then the only real counter initiation they have to worry about is something like a Savage Roar. But Invoker could just throw all of his spells from good range. He's gone very heavy Exalt Wex. He's going to have the Chaos Meteor. He's going to have the Sunstrike, and Baby Knight, if he gets hit by that Hoof Stomp, could be burst down quickly.
Yeah,
He's trying to tank up. Has the pipe, so maybe a bit harder. We'll find out.
Baby Knight gets caught. He still has that 4-step, but it looks like the damage is going to come too fast. Too many stuns, and a Sunstrike finishes them off. Bears, the first reveal of the Blink. Huge success. As he said, Baby Knight, a very key component of the C9 lineup. He was working towards a Blink Dagger after that 4-staff, but has now been delayed.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game for him. Ace at top is being harassed by Fata. Does have the Savage Roar.
Fata, Sunstrike. Ace is not going to be hit by that one. Fata does not have time lapse anymore. He actually pops a wand. Will have enough now, but he's actually going to stick around until the Stomp comes in from Forev, so maybe they can at least get a kill on Noya instead. But he's a tanky support, and Rise, he now comes in with a Frostbite. More TPs in. Has to Joe with a 3-man Pit of Malice. Follow up. Firestorm TP out from Forev, but he gets frostbitten. That will delay the highest net worth hero on Bears from escaping. They'll pick up that kill. Big one for C9. Oh, and plus one.
Plus one. This Astral and Adam, no escape for him. That could potentially open up space for Ace to take mid. They may press down top. They're looking pretty formidable with their 5-man push, even still. And with Centaur dead, they're not worried about that initiation. There's not really any counterplay for Bears. I say that as Yapso could line up an initiation combo where maybe he's the one who sets up a Sunstrike, but still very difficult to do so without Centaur.
Yeah, I have to say, the more I see this, the more I really like Invoker's choice to go for the Exort, this mass burst damage, particularly in the Sunstrike when the initiation comes, but also it's going to be when these pushes come in the Meteor. I feel like they needed that sort of overwhelming damage to deal with C9 because they've got tanky heroes and with the sustain of Mech as well. Here comes Hesta Joe. Is going to receive a 4-staff. Nicely played out by Baby Knight. Managed to outplay that one. Jump in. Hit 2-man hoof stomp there on the side. Stampede slowing them all down as well. Here comes the Meteor, but Hesta Joe's already dead. Fought in the back lines. Almost died, but he does manage to get a shallow grave and will also time-lapse off half the damage. Firo's now going to be chased down. Oh, here comes the damage. Firo gets caught in the entangle. Tower's going to fall. Bears. The rest of them will get out. Looks like they traded... Is that just a 2-for-1? They only got Hesta Joe.
Yeah, good defensive play, nice use of the 4-staff, the defensive Astral, and Baby Knight turns that one around with a big these Eclipse. And that's going to be not... Oh yeah, probably just the Tier 1 tower. They are still lingering around this Tier 2 for now. 20 seconds on the Invoker. Without the Invoker, they don't have the best follow-up for the center initiation, so it looks like C9, I think they can punish and get a Tier 2 tower as well because of that, but Glyph coming out may spell a retreat for C9 with the Invokers soon to respawn.
Fortunately for Bears. Oh, Radiant Structure is actually fortified. Looks like the push by Fada at the bottom lane. Well, C9 do seem to be not just putting a lot of pressure on Bears and keeping pushing down a bunch of towers, but they're also making sure their outer towers aren't being threatened too much by Fada. He claimed the top lane tower, but I think Ace denied it. I'm not 100% sure about that one, but you could see as soon as the pressure comes in at bottom lane as well, they glyph up and he TP rotates.
Smoke from C9 now. They ready to go play around Ace, put him in a position where he can be perhaps on the front lines. It's tough because OD doesn't really want to be too far forward. He ideally wants his teammates getting jumped so he can Astral them, and oh, they've caught Forev.
Spirit Bear bait, but they do have a nice silence coming out from Yapsor. Forev tries to get away with the Stampede, but unfortunately, Rise was on the side. He wasn't hit by that silence, does manage to get the Frostbite. Oh, Fada almost goes down. The time lapse, though, just in time. They're still chasing Firo, managed to slow him down, but it looks like he's far enough away. He'll be good. But a loss of their Centaur means, as well as Adam, and seems like that TP's not going to make it. A loss of their Initiator and their Sustain means that C9 can freely push down a Tier 2 and go from there. It seems like all the Tier 2s are going to be dropping soon.
Yeah, it's a full-on snowball from the 5-man push of C9. Feels like every one of their games are they're so good at taking these early objectives, so good at finding the right lineups that allow them to just push down early towers, and it's going to come down to the Bears' ability to transition to the late game. The max Wex for Fear has worked out really well. It's great for his farming efficiency, just being able to be on the Wex for moving around between camps. We saw there actually helped save his life with the extra movement speed, so he is slowly but surely catching up in terms of his farm with this Midas and close to completing an Aghanim Scepter, but he really wants this game to go like 25, 30 plus minutes because he needs to get like into that level 20 Invoker stage of the game.
This is just unfair. Look at Ace's movement speed. You know, I was trying to point at the Helmet Dominator.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's been sitting with this Kobold Foreman, which has been great, right? Because the Lone Druid itself moves super fast, but also his Spirit Bear can then run down heroes a lot easier. But you give him the Bloodlust, he's actually at 550 all the time.
He is perma-hasted, okay.
Stampede doesn't do shit.
Huh.
Bears try and close that gap, and Ace is like, I could do that. I do that every day.
That is incredible. Yeah, and then if you're trying to Stampede on top, he's got Savage Roar too. They're going to catch
Nice initiation. They can get the silence follow-up. Baby Knight will be dropped here. That is the kind of pickoffs that Bears need here. Because after that mid lane engagement where they tried to fight over the mid-tier 1 tower, they lost that. We knew it was going to be C9 just trampling over everything else. That was the one fight to determine whether or not they could stop C9 before they went for these pushes. So now Bears have to play the pickoff game.
Yeah, that's a good kill. Any core hero going down can put a dent in this constant push that's coming out from the C9 squad, and they can get another kill here mid lane. The pickoff game continues. Vera getting the last hit with the Sunstrike. This is where C9 have to be careful not to let their leads slip away and not to give up too many of these pickoffs. They really need to be sticking together as much as possible. The vision game becomes very important. Like plays like that where Baby Knight was rotating towards that bottom room are fine if you know you have full vision around the area and your opponents don't, but he was walking right through a dire observer ward.
Yeah, these Sunstrike kills are pretty big. Stun Silence on to Rise with the Sunstrike. Oh, good save there from Baby Knight. Right as Forev came in, he's going to try and activate the Shrine and survive through that. The Shrine will keep him alive for now, but C9, they do have that movement speed. There goes the Stampede. Everyone will get out. C9, having chased away the Bears, will try and push down this tier 2 tower, and they're probably going to get it too. The most Bears can do is split push now, with Fada having the Desolator and Firo as well. Oh, actually doesn't have the any talents level. I was going to say he has the +2, the +1 Forge Spirit, so he can split push pretty well. But he's just all out on trying to get to that AoE, it looks like.
That's interesting to know. Normally, you'd see I see a lot of invokers skip the level 20 talent because you're better off leveling up your skills, and sometimes the level 10 one. But a level 15 Forward Spirit's pretty nice normally. But he's just farming. He's using the media to farm at the top lane there, so not really using those Forward Spirits for the time being.
Yeah, I'm not exactly an invoker player here, gods. Maybe you are, but this does. He's not maxing out Exort and Wex completely. That means he really wants to get the 22 Ags upgrade. Oh no, never mind. No, that's a talent now. Never mind.
Oh no, yeah. Don't worry.
So why isn't he doing that?
I guess he just decides that's enough damage. You know, it's like let's go back for some Quas. Some of the spells I guess he's looking to be using in the next couple of fights, be it like some stuff like the Ice Wall, the Cold Snap, maybe wants to be a bit more potent. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big invoker player. I just from seeing what other invokers are doing with some of the talents, and I see them skipping their talents a lot. It seems like a recurring theme, but this is the first time I've seen this invoker build where it's super heavy Exalt Wex early game and then completely skipping all your talents.
Sunstrike after Sunstrike is being thrown into the pit. He'll see C9 doing Roshan, yes, but can they actually do anything to stop it? They do have most of their heroes. They're going to TP in. It looks like they are going to try and put a stop to C9 Roshing, and C9 will oblige for now. Roshan wanders out of the pit. About 3k HP. They're going to need a beautiful initiation from Bears to be able to win this fight.
How low Roche is, both teams will be very tempted to go for that one. Bears scout that Roche is not being currently done, but because of that Sunstrike, C9 can actually go back in. They know there's no Sunstrike now, and this Dire Ward does not see these heroes, so good smoke usage to get back into the pit. Forward Spirit will scout this one a little bit too late.
Oh, but they jump in! Oh my god, the Age is still in the deck. Forev managed to grab it. Now here comes the Meteor with the deafening blast. Ace and Hes to Joe almost get blown up. There is a save from Baby Knight. Ace is going to come back soon. Forev is still in the pit. Can anyone threaten Ace? He's in the back lines. Firo and Fada just charge in, manage to finish him off. Noya's also going to go down, and Baby Knight, he needs to get out of here. He can't save anybody anymore. He does get the Hurricane Pike over the cliff, blinks back, saves himself. Forev is here, but doesn't look like he's going to be able to catch Baby Knight. What a win. How did Bears manage to make the read on that?
They were so close to making that work, Cloud9, with their smoke in. Bears scouted out with the Forward Spirit, and the Forward Spirit is in the pit like right as Roche is about to die. So they had like a split second to react with that combo, and they're going to find another kill now with the Sunstrike. Suddenly, this game gets swung right back into Bears' favor with that Roche fight. They get multiple big key kills. They stop down the Cloud9 5-man death ball. They've still got a tier 2 tower and their shrines up, which means they're still in a pretty strong position, able to maintain map control. And suddenly, C9 don't really have the ability to easily take that last outer tower. They're not feeling quite as strong after losing that fight and giving away the amount of farm that they just did. Bears are suddenly in a really good position.
Man, that was... that time it was something else, man. The fact that they were like, yeah, we're going to throw a Forge Spirit in. Even though we have vision, we saw inside the pit. Maybe they did smoke up inside the Roshan pit. And Cloud9, I thought that was such a clever play. I was like, God damn, Cloud9, you deserve this Roshan. But Bears somehow, some way, just get the perfect timing to get the Forge Spirit in, get the initiation out. And now C9 They're still going to try and stick together, but the split push is becoming more and more formidable by Bears. Fada already had his Desolator. Now he's got a Diffusal Blade and is working towards a BKB. And our Invoker, who now has Max Exort, has a Blink Dagger and Boots of Travel as well.
Yeah, this Invoker is close to his full potential now. Level 19, almost maxed out all of his elements, and C9 have to be considered BKBs. Baby Knight's 500 gold away from one if that's going to be the pickup for him. Lone Druid potentially going to need one later on as well. Between the Invoker, the Centaur, the Earth Spirit, there's plenty of reasons to need to get one this game. I've got a pipe on the Underlord, which will help a little bit, but whether or not that's going to be enough in itself, I somewhat doubt.
You could already see the beginning of the decline for C9 even before that team fight because of some of the pickups that were happening. Also because the better farm efficiency that Bears would naturally have when Cloud9 are 5-manning. The more split push items they got, the more stronger their 2 cores in Weaver and Invoker got, the more they were able to pick up and golden experience out of the map. And then after that team fight, it's dropped down rather dramatically, about 2,500 gold lead only for Cloud9 and a huge experience lead for Bears.
Yeah, that experience is where it really matters for some of these heroes, and Bears are not done.
There's the initiation. Here comes the Meteor. It's not going to save Hesta Joe. Baby Knight chooses to save Ace, the big damage dealer. Hesta Joe is tanky enough. He's down to half health. It looks like Fada can actually finish him off with a Desolator. Fada's stuck underneath the Pit of Malice. He will receive an early Shallow Grave just in case. Reb runs in, tries to get Baby Knight, hits him with a bit of a threat there with the nuke, slows him down, but Baby Knight now turns, manages to throw out the ultimate, finishing off the Centaur. Oh, Fada, he gets a nice Savage Roar, perfectly timed by Ace to prevent the time lapse. And a Shikuchi away. Bears now left with only 3, and Cloud9, they're not done just yet. They still want to take this tier 2 tower,
Absolutely.
And Bears are going to have to give it to him unless Yapzor has some godly plays. But it looks like they're just going to get extra kills from this. Fada, he is dead.
Free int for the OD while you're graved up.
Oh, yeah.
One of those scenarios where you probably actually don't want to grave yourself. Suddenly there's 60 stolen int on Baby Knight. But he doesn't have Sandy's Eclipse at least to go with this one. Bears ready to fight again. Furious healed himself back up, maybe considering catching a straggler.
Oh, the kick a little bit off the mark there. Doesn't hit the stun or the silence on Ace. Hard to judge exactly how long that tornado is going to last.
Also slightly off the mark. Yeah, that was very close to getting that combo. Even slightly threw the meatball a bit too early. It rolled through him while he was still in the tornado, so slightly off. Otherwise, I think Virax, he can get that kill. The Sunstrike lands, he definitely gets it, but without the Sunstrike, still would have been a close attempt. But nice aggressive play, definitely showing some confidence from the Bears side. Even when there were just 2 men against 3, they were happy to go for the kills and try and make those plays happen. But ultimately, they will have to wait till they can regroup and reset things a bit here. BKBs will be involved in the next team fight, though. ODs we saw once already, but the Lone Druid's going to potentially have one as well. He's got the money for it. He's got it queued up on his quick buy, so we'll see if he commits to that one or considers any other options.
You know, Guts, I don't know if you felt this way, but before that push, I was thinking to myself, C9, after that disastrous Roshan fight, they have to make this push work. If Bears successfully get a team fight around that tier 2, defend, and push back C9, then C9 are just going to, they're not going to be able to finish that tier 2, not going to be able to take the shrines, and they're just going to try to dwindle out. But then I realized, what the hell am I talking about? There's a Lone Druid and an OD on this team. They still scale really well into late game, and Bears, they've got to be concerned about that part of the game as well. They finally managed to deal somewhat with the pushing power. They repelled them there, but can they actually beat C9 in a late game engagement against these heroes?
Yeah, because that fight started, it looked like pretty badly for Cloud9. Then suddenly Ace and Baby Knight being ignored just kept right-clicking away. And you're like, all right, you're right. They do have these 2 heroes cap. These heroes already are looking like pretty scary beasts in these fights and will only continue to get more problematic for Bears as they get another couple of items. Odie's currently just got 3 real more defensive items. Once he puts in a Hex or a Shivers, gets some more in.
Oh, Firo run!
Firo.
Oh, nice tornado. Holy cow. It catches Baby Knight as well as he blinks over to the side.
Yeah, a bit of misfortune there for Baby Knight with his blink timing. He got hit by as he blinked in, but even so. Really, really good escape from Firo. Bears are trying to punish with some split push, but here comes the Dark Rift.
That's the first time we've seen the Dark Rift being used. Make sure that C9 don't get punished with their 5-manning. Stun comes out. BKB activated here. He's going to defuse a blade up. Baby Knight. Baby Knight's forced to use the BKB of his own. Fada shoving back C9. But nothing is going to be really accomplished from that.
Very cautious play from Baby Knight. It's BKBing out of the Purge. Did have a defensive Astral, but that could potentially set up like a Centaur stun or an Invoker combo, so plays it safe, knows that they just need to disengage, but as a result, it seems Cloud9 don't want to defend their mid-tier 2 and will give that one up. So they're just one outer tower away from losing their own shrines. But for now, they've taken one of the enemy shrines and we'll be eyeballing that second one, given that Roshan is coming up in the next 3 minutes.
Level 21 on the Invoker now has all of the various balls maxed out. And he can start working on those talents.
Can you skip and go straight to the level 20 talent then and not get the 10 or 15 one?
No.
So you have to build up from the bottom, okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he won't be able to just go straight for, say, in this instance, maybe 1 in Forge Spirits, +1 or something like that. Not going to be able to do that. Believe me, gods, I wanted to before. There's some pretty garbage talents out there.
Yeah. There's some level talents where I get there, I'm just like, skip. I'm getting my point in my basic skill or something instead, and yeah.
At WESG, Marlene and Fog and I were complaining. We're talking about talents and what are the worst talents, and up there on the list we complained about it a lot was the level 15 talent from Nyx Assassin. Oh, jump, initiation, stun, misses out on the hoof stomp, does manage to hit the boulder, but there is a save from Baby Knight. Force Staff away from Forev, not allowing that Stampede to connect. Now Yapsor comes in, managed to hit his ultimate onto a couple, but the BKB activated by Baby Knight allows him to turn and fight. Now they're going to pop the Dark Rift. Baby Knight's dropping lower and lower. They might be able to get this kill before. Oh, the Dark Rift, it doesn't save him. They can't get out. Now Ace is actually left completely alone here. He's going to turn and fight and kill Adam, but is not going to be making out alive, it seems. He's too separated from his team, and they will bring him down. Bears, a big win for them. 2 cores.
Tough fight. The Beetle on OD just wrecked him. It was one of those. I've been in that scenario too, where it's like you got that Beetle on you. You know you've got to kill it, and it's so hard to click when it's on your body. Clicking Swarm Beetles can be one of the most frustrating things in the game, and he got it down to 1 hit, then stopped attacking it, and then Weaver was just hitting him where he would theoretically have been in fog in that tree spot there. Vata would not have had great vision of an OD who could have been juking him out, but instead that Beetle lowering his armor, keeping vision of him, and got both carries of C9 in the process, and Bears are looking pretty scary here. Roche is actually going to respawn here. Yep, so we'll scout it out. OD is back alive, though, for this one, so I don't imagine they'll be charging their way in there necessarily right away. If anything, C9 should be coming to contest this one, but yeah, Bears are going to take a chance on this.
They're doing it pretty quickly thanks to that Swarm Beetle on Roshan and the Desolator. C9, they're coming in fast with the Bear. Roshan's down to 1500 HP. The Tornado's going to be able to prevent a lot of this, and they do have beautiful line damage. The stun out from Yapsor. Double silence onto 2. Hester, Joe, and Ace in trouble. Baby Knight needs to save Ace, but they do get the Hurricane Pike onto the cliff. They've managed to finish up Roshan as well, and now Fada's ready to go with the Aegis. He just charges straight in, facing up against Baby Knight. Will try and pop his BKB and finish off Ace. Now the jump in, gets the stun onto Rise as well. That'll finish off Baby Knight. Cloud9, it's just all over for them in this engagement. Hester Joe tries to TP out, does manage to make it out, but this is going to be buyback time for maybe the OD. Looks like the Lone Druid with his low death timer can wait.
Yeah, that was the perfect lineup possible. Coming down that ramp for the Tornado, First Spirit Suns and everything.
C9, you got to respect this. Your Lone Druid is not yet back up. They did not want to have to buy back on the OD until the Lone Druid is up, so Hester Joe giving the Bears the free pickoff here before the push actually fully comes out. They are going to be able to take that melee racks. Tornado, EMP, Making its way in. Stomp actually going to miss out there. The tornado lasting a bit too long. Silence from Yapster tries to roll himself away. Hit by the Pit of Malice. Saved by the Shallow Grave. He may still be able to get out of here, but Forev, as well as being chased down by Hesta Joe, and Ignite comes out. Vero blinks back. Adam's going to be target of Hesta Joe and Noya instead, while Fada was battling it up with the 2 cores. Is completely out of mana now. Needs the extra help. Has the BKB. Is going to try and run himself away, but the physical damage of Baby Knight, 4 HP. He finally does fall. Now when he comes back, he won't have a BKB. A Pit of Malice laid in preemptively. Fada is... There's no chance. No hope for a time lapse or anything like that.
At least get the big Weaver kill and an Aegis on the rebuttal there, but still puts Cloud9 in a tough spot. They take their melee racks, and as a result, C9 thinking they can push back the other way. Force out that Weaver buyback at a minimum is probably what's on their mind, but Bears have a scary initiation. They can start and get an opening kill without even having their Weaver there. Baby Knight blinking in aggressively.
He's going to be stunned up, hit by the tornado. EMP plus Sunstrike. Gets a good force staff, though. Will save him a lot of that damage. Vero throwing out that deafening blast. They're hoping to be able to push back Cloud9 and not have to use their buyback on Fada. No, a nice stun! A 3-man hoof stomp onto the Spirit Bearer as well. They're going to be able to control these heroes now. The Stampede slows them down. The Dark Rinse is coming in, but it's not going to save Noya. A Force Staff, another one. They try and push these heroes away, and it looks like it may have disjointed enough that Rise could not make it into the Dark Rift out.
Yeah, I don't think he's rating that Uber Driver 5 stars. He has left a couple teammates behind. Ace is still running the hell away. Luckily, he's got all this movement speed to get out of there. Rise also missed out on the ride. But
TP in. Whoa, Ace! He TP'd onto a shrine, but Fada and Firo were already here trying to cut him off in the first place, so they just stumble into a TP and a free kill there. Ace could not afford a pick off like that. He's down for 35 seconds, and Bears are already on top of your tier 2.
That's an odd, like a very awkward amount of time because they're going to be on your high ground before you respawn. Even with this minus 50 seconds, there's this very small window still when you're Lone Druid where if you get picked off, you have a very short respawn time, but it's like not quite short enough if your opponents want to break high ground. We saw that mid lane where the melee Rax was down by the time the Lone Druid respawned. They don't press the issue up top. They want to reset and heal up, pick up their next level of items. The Lincoln Sphere is coming out on Fearless Invoker, but still very tough position for C9 to be playing from right now. Having to use their buybacks for those fights as well. They did force out a Weaver buyback. That's the good news for them. If they can catch Fata, that's where they can look to take back a lane of racks themselves.
Yeah, maybe even close out the game, honestly, with how quickly Cloud9 can push thanks to the double bears. Ace has a Scotty. Is there any other big upgrades that we haven't talked about just yet? Crystallis now in the backpack or courier for Fada.
Nothing too major, it looks like. I mean, Invokers, yeah, the Lincolns mentioned. The Centaur's had his Axe for some time, is going back for a late game Blade Mail. Now that he's got all this HP and stats, it gets even more powerful. Also just good if Lone Druid's pelting away on you, you can just at least pop it and stop him from hitting you, so doesn't look like anything crazy in terms of item upgrades for either team too recently.
What about the level 25 talent for Centaur? Because most of the time I say return aura, but with the way that controlling these heroes is so important, maybe the +1 second on Hoof Stomp is better.
Yeah.
Oh, here comes the initiation. Fada speeding ahead with his Shikuchi. Level 25 talent. Hesta Joe is going to be the pick-off here. Nobody else is going to get caught, though, on the side of Cloud9.
Has no buyback as well. Potentially they'll be going for the shrines instead. I really like the returner, I think, still. Just we'll see what he gets, but they've got good follow-up for his stuns with the Boulder Smash, so we're seeing the fights often his Hoof Stomp will just lead into a Boulder Smash, so I don't think he necessarily has to have the extra second of stun, but I can definitely see either being good. Just because you're against the Lone Druid and even the OD, he's right-clicking away. Return Aura just seems very, very useful still.
Here comes the push to bottom lane. Firo was keeping top. A little bit pushed out. TP's in now to the bottom lane to join his team for the 5-man push. Tier 3 tower already down to half HP. Forev's going to be caught here, but some helpful heals and 4 staffs will get him off of that high ground.
without Underlord. They'll take a bit of damage on the tier 3 before Bears back off, but Bears have eyes on the Shrine, and C9 need to be thinking about their end game here. What can they get to contest this super late game? Lone Druid's going to have his level 25, which doesn't make him any really scary of a carry. Does give him a bit of protection with that lower cooldown on the Savage Roar, presumably. But across the board, itemization for heroes like the OD and Lone Druid needs to kind of reach its peak fairly soon, because Bears are constantly applying pressure.
Yeah, you know, the one hero I feel like has really fallen behind for Cloud9 is the OD. He doesn't have the Shivis yet, nor the, I guess, later game Scythe of Ice if he wanted that item. You know, those sort of pickups are necessary for 40 minutes in the game for OD to really have that heavy impact in situations like that where you need that heavy lockdown. You need to just be able to beat on a hero. Firo with the Lincolns is able to get himself back away from Baby Knight's initiation.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, the buyback really hurt him, and just the last couple of fights not going all too well for C9 means Baby Knight is where he is and isn't able to have quite the impact he'd perhaps hoped for in some of these fights. But Bears still not going to force a high ground push or any sort. They don't want to give Cloud9 the high ground defender's advantage. That's where this Lone Druid and OD can really shine. Even with the current advantage of theirs in terms of items farm and map control, they're going to be more likely than not waiting out this next Roshan.
It seems for the best, right? You also have Firo quite close to his level 25 talent where he can get that AoE Deafening Blast. So it seems like everyone in mind. Ooh, Yapster's actually going to be going for the Aghanim Scepter. I very rarely see that in competitive play, just because it's Under Spirit, it's like the 5th item that you get, you know, and it usually don't get that much farm. But that could be a good way for you to be able to siege high ground and find that sort of quick pickoff.
Yeah, there's all these other items you normally need to get. The Blink Dagger, the Urn for the early game, the Yules is like a nice utility item. But if you can, blink and stone someone and like kick them out, looking at like the Lone Druid or the OD, push them into your own team, suddenly you've got a really, really powerful initiator in Yapsor in the late game. Right now, the vision for Cloud9 is just getting taken away ward by ward. They've only got the one. They've still got the one ward up on the bottom side of the map, but it's as well as the one to the north near Roshan. This is important. They know that Bears are going to be trying to go for this Rosh fairly soon once it comes up, so they have to kind of keep active on the map, keep these lanes pushed out if they want to contest it. They may just be taking the approach that they'll defend high ground though.
Yeah, this cliff ward all important against Adam's gem that he's picking up. You do see some of Bears on the map thanks to that ward, so they're going to push out, get some farm near the bottom half of the map, farm up some Ancients, probably stop this push in from Firo as well, who has an Octarine core.
Yeah, he's well and truly recovered from his bad laning stage, and that start of his is no longer showing as he pokes up towards that top net worth spot. Not quite there yet. Lone Druid still holding that one. Lone Druid close to 6-slotted, still has the Helm of the Dominator, which presumably is going to look to replace in the late game, but has picked up a new Daedalus, so we'll have Daedalus, a little bit shorter buyback, but should have that before the next fight. Here come Bears.
Smoke up, staying on the high ground, seeing if they can get that sneak initiation onto Baby Knight, and they've got it with a Deafening Blast over the top. Baby Knight goes down to half health before he's finally able to pop his BKB. Fada looking to pursue, he's thinking about it, decides against it though, does not push the high ground and risk potentially getting caught there and unable to time-lapse. Sunstrike just getting a bit of vision, but in the end, the smoke rotation just costs OD a BKB charge, and that's all.
Yeah, Fata uses his BKB there as well.
Oh, okay.
He's down to 5 seconds. Both carries down to 5 seconds, so kind of at that point where any BKB, even for like a small thing, doesn't really matter since it is at that lowest duration, but shorter cooldown.
You know, I have to wonder. They see Firo TP bottom. Would you feel comfortable if say you see Firo at bottom? You know he's pretty quick, but you know he does not have the boots of travel. You could just 5-man push out real quickly, see if you can catch someone from Bears, and they kind of do just that. They managed to get Forev inside the Pit of Malice, but he does have the Stampede too. He's holding on to it for now. He actually is going to turn around, force staff Baby Knight in deeper. They do manage to get the stun, and Fearo's going to be here soon. Rev now pops that Stampede, does have all that damage reduction, so Baby Knight's really not doing that much to Rev at all. Fada battling between Noya and Hester Joe, does manage to get off the time lapse. OD taken out. Looks like did he hit the Blade Mail? Adam on the side. Oh no. Dark Rift out. Save them all. All right, they get a couple out, but Ace, as well as our OD and Rise, are all going to be fallen here. They do have buyback.
Oh, the Blade Mail timing. He got it on the Sanity's Eclipse of the OD. That demolished Baby Knight. He stole so much int hitting him at the start of the fight, and then that Centaur said, that's all according to my plan.
I mean, you could see Forev very clearly could have just stampeded early on. He could have blinked out. I think he used his force staff offensively on Baby Knight while he was being pursued, trying to get that hero out of rotation. He was like, I'm good with you guys going on me because I know Fearo has his boots of travel back thanks to the Octarine core. He TP'd into mid lane. He's going to be here soon and we can fight.
Well, that'll secure them, Roche. It's big kills. Again, it's not the racks they were perhaps thinking you'd maybe normally get it by killing 2 carries, but that is, again, goes back to the Lone Druid talent, and also the fact that they just are wary of those buybacks. Would rather take the Aegis and cheese and now go for that high ground push. Fata's effectively 6-slotted now with the Aegis in the mix, and he is very scary. Double damage is still up, and could potentially help them secure some racks here.
Keeping all the lanes pushed in. Bears are not going to rush the high ground whatsoever. I gotta say, I'm a big fan of the way that Bears plays so controlled. You know, we talked about, I think, the SF game. That was the first real good show of a lot of subtlety from Bears and the way they were able to play quite disciplined and play from behind and play around one hero, understanding timings very well. And here's another example. They should, in theory, have an advantage to just go 5-man high ground and see what happens. But instead, they're getting the chip damage done. They're just kind of moving C9 around the map and slowly but surely taking these range raxes.
Yeah, they could, like you say, they could just 5-man down a lane, but that sets C9 up to fully execute their draft, to hit their teamfight combos, to position around that push. Instead, Fata with Aegis gets a tier 3 tower and almost immediately racks.
Fata is forced to BKB.
But this is still damage top.
Yeah, Spirit Bear actually goes down. Fada looks like he caught by the multicast. He does end up losing his Aegis, but Fearo has taken the range tracks, has threatened Hester Joe already, brought him pretty low earlier, and does get a little bit of damage. Oh, Hurricane Pike pushes Noya away from the stun. Oh, Fada, he's so close. He's going to get saved out for the shallow grave. Right. There goes that time lapse. Actually barely makes it out of that Pit of Malice, but back over to top lane. There goes that melee Rax. To and fro. Forev now jumps in as well. He's going to join in on the pushing action. Nice 2-man hoof stomp. Trying to finish up those range Raxes with the Forge Spirits. Pops his Blade Mail. Baby Knight can't target him anymore. Back to bottom lane where Fearo comes in with a big Meteor Blast. Hits Noya back into it with a Deafening Blast. Forev now, he pops the Stampede. Is going to run over Noya. They managed to catch a couple there with the Pit of Malice, but C9, they need to make this team fight work for them because they're getting picked apart this whole entire time. A buyback there from Noya, but Bears, they can play the patience game here. Sit back and wait. Since the Dazzle's not here, they've got all the other lanes pushed in. It's just bottom that's left.
Yeah, they are just splitting apart C9, and that was one of the most well-executed split pushes I've seen, and Bears right now have put themselves in a position to take game 1 of this series. After a very, a slightly shaky early game / laning stage, but that's very much the Cloud9 way. They really pressure you then, and Bears showing great composure to bide their time, wait till they hit their critical level and item timings, and that's when they took the key fights against Cloud9.
Here comes the remaining heroes of Bears. Adam is an essential part in some of these dives, especially for Fada. So they're kind of waiting out for him. Another Tornado EMP with a Sunstrike brings Ace down to half. Fearo still able to get away. The Pit of Malice held him in, but it's the Lincolns that prevents any further control.
He's got 9k gold. He can get that backpack refresher if he wants. He's very, very farmed all of a sudden, and this last lane of Rax could be not long for this world. With the Aegis down, though, perhaps some second thoughts from Bears as to how to approach this push. They're not actually split pushing, which is where they found their success the other times, but with only one lane of racks to go for,
Oh,
it
what?
seems like they're more focused.
Ace just burst down Yapzor here at the low ground. Now he's going to turn against Varev, but oh god, he just hit the blade mail. Varev gets a lot of damage back to Ace, not quite enough to finish him off though.
Okay,
Bears
that rapier came out of nowhere.
turn around, do manage to get a good ice wall onto Hesta Joe. He'll receive a Hurricane Pike. A friendly save from Baby Knight. Now Baby Knight jumps forward here, but doesn't have his BKB activated. So Varev, oh god, they just hit the hoof stomp, but he dies just like that to Fada. It's all up to Ace now with no buyback onto Baby Knight. Ace is going to have to do it all with his Divine Rapier at only 800 HP. A push back there. Noya receives a Hurricane Pike, but here comes the Deafening Blast, and that's it. They catch him. They take that Divine Rapier. It's on the deck. Someone can grab it, but the GGs have already been called by Cloud9. C9, they almost had a 10,000 gold lead with their early pushing, their early 5-manning, but again, Bears show the strength of will, the constitution to be able to survive through all this early game pressure and come out in the mid to late game.
Yeah, I mean, the cores just are so good at finding their right timings. I mean, Firo dies once the entire game, Fata only the 2 deaths. Like, these 2 players were just so instrumental in just stalling when they needed to, but just avoiding fights around towers that couldn't be defended. There were a couple really good initiations from Forev, which just bought some times. The consequent the pickoffs from Firo, where he was just getting stun strikes off of the Centaur stuns as well, just constant pickoffs. It felt like that Bears were getting in the mid game when C9 were meant to be strong. They delayed their timings, but the biggest play is still that Roche fight cap. That was where things really got tipped upside down for Cloud9.
Yeah, if they had managed to actually pick up that Aegis, maybe C9 could have kept rolling, taken the rest of those tier 2s in short time, taken shrines, and then who knows what they would have done with such a big gold and map control lead. But that's just game 1, ladies and gentlemen, here of the playoffs between Cloud9 and Bears. Bears 1 game up. We'll be back after a break.